welcome back to another session of Track Center Unplugged, where today we have the pleasure of welcoming two representatives from the admissions department at St. Thomas University, Houston. And we are excited to be able to learn about all the benefits of transferring to a private institution. And my name is Dr. Juan LeBron, counselor and supervisor of the Track Center. So thank you so much for joining today's session. And at this time, I'm going to allow my colleague to introduce himself and our colleagues from St. Thomas University.
Hey, I'm Matthew Sanford, Director of Advising and Counseling here at Lone Star College-Montgomery, and I will let our two representatives from the University of St. Thomas introduce themselves. So go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Glendys Alvarez, and I am the Assistant Director of Transfer Admissions at the University of St. Thomas. I've been working with UST for now a little over 6 years now, specifically with the transfer demographic.
Hi everyone, I'm Carolyn Berrios, and I'm also a transfer admissions counselor at the University of St. Thomas. I'm so happy to be here with y'all today and get to learn about y'all and y'all learn about our university as well. I started working with UST, it's about to be 2 years ago, and previously I had graduated from the University of St. Thomas. So I'm very passionate and I love the university. So I'm so happy to inform you and share my experience as a student and now as an admissions counselor.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to share with our students and community members. And I'm going to start off with the first question. St. Thomas University in Houston is a private institution. Can you both or one of you share what is the difference between attending a private university versus a public university?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I always, every time I go out and speak with students, I try to, make it very simple to explain between a public and a private. So public institution means that public universities get federal or state federal funding to run their universities versus a public school, a private university is run or relied on strictly on students' tuition, alumni donations, and in order to, to fund those academic programs. So that's why you might see, why some private schools have very little programs available versus a public university where they have a lot of programs available. So that means that because the funding, launching a one degree program, it's really expensive. So we depend on student revenue to offer programs and add new programs, and two, to pay staff and everything that it takes to run a university. That's what it means, that we rely on students' tuition and donations to have UST, offer those great benefits that we normally offer to our incoming class.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit further about what Glendys mentioned. Something else that makes us different is that, as Glendys said, we expect a lot of donations from other people. But we've been so lucky that we have some very generous donors that really believe in our university and that have helped us grow. I mean, from the moment that I started at UST, I started in 2015 and I graduated in 2019. There has been so much growth, and we give thanks to all our donors because of them it's become possible. Our university has grown. We've gotten so many different programs. We have new buildings. It's very exciting things. A lot of our students that come to the University of St. Thomas, they come in and they know that they're going into, they prefer their academics. And they know that they're coming in for that main purpose. I know some larger universities that are public school, they have a lot of sports, which are so exciting and so fun, but we pride ourselves in our academics.
And one more thing too, between private and public is that, we are a nonprofit university as well. So what that means is that part of the revenue that comes into the university has made a commitment to give back to our students and help them out. And that's through scholarship, which I'm sure we'll touch a little more about that later on.
Thank you.
All right. Great. So if you were thinking about potential St. Thomas students who have completed an associate's degree at Lone Star College, what words of wisdom do you think you would give them in relation to becoming a competitive applicant?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. So we encourage students to definitely finish strong at your community college. Focus on making good grades, because we do make decisions based on students' academics, income, and GPA. And so that GPA pretty much means that, the higher your GPA is, the higher your scholarship will be. The reason why we want definitely finish strong at a community college is because that scholarship will remain the same until you finish your degree at St. Thomas. So if you come in, let's say with the 3.0 GPA, your scholarship will be $10,000. That remain the same throughout the entire staying at UST. And regardless if your GPA goes below the 3.0 when you're at UST or if it goes higher. So that would be one main key element to let the Lone Star students know: finish strong, do great academically, finish your associates or finish your basics at a community college. I am a transfer student myself. I went from a community college, a local community college, then went to a public school, and I always encourage students to finish all your basics because, one, you're saving money. Definitely, that's a key, right? And take all those classes are transferable to your to UST. We are a private school, but we follow the same public core requirements. So all your basics, English, composition 1 and 2, all those social sciences, those will be transferable to the school. So that will be 2. Finish your associates, finish your basics, finish as much as you can at Lone Star. What would be a third key advice, Caroline, that we can tell our transfer students?
Yeah, of course. Well, I want to mention something about the credits that Glendys mentioned and of course, sometimes students think because we're private, that we don't accept a lot of credits, but we actually accept up to 72 credits from community college. So this is really great. I mean, associates are typically around 60 hours. So that just lets students know that we accept a lot of credits. So you don't ever have to be worried about these credits won't transfer over. As long as it's college level, we'll accept them. Of course, when you go more into depth, they'll decide whether it'll go towards your core or it will go towards electives. But I always like to tell my students that no matter what, those credits will be useful because in order to graduate, you do need electives. So it's never that your credits were, they weren't used or that they were gone to waste.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Thank you. And I think from the conversations that we've had, Ms. Alvarez, in the past, is like St. Thomas University, as a private institution, is like a best kept secret here in the city of Houston, right? And what are some of those academic programs that at St. Thomas University a lot of folks may not know about that are very popular, in relation to students looking into being not just a student at St. Thomas, but also taking part and joining your excellent academic program. So what are those major programs that you guys offer at St. Thomas University in Houston?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So we have 5 different schools, right? We have School of Business, School of Education, Liberal Arts and Science. But our top programs at St. Thomas definitely is one of them. It's our natural sciences. So especially those students that are going into pre-med school or pre-health. We have the pre-medical, pre-dental, but mainly the pre-med has been a very huge success at our school. One of the reasons is because we have a very high acceptance rate to medical schools here in Texas. 60% of those transfer students going into medical school major in you can major in anything, either biology, psychology, philosophy, as long as you are the pre-med or pre-health track to your degree. You have resources available to pretty much to make you successful and a great competitive candidate to medical schools. One of those resources is that students will have access to a mock exam or the NCAT, and that has helped tremendously to our students to get rid of that anxiety of taking an 8-hour test. Also interviewing skills. Our alumni comes back and help our students in that specific field to help them with the interview skills. And that, from what I hear, getting interviews at medical schools is not easy. So 60% of the students that apply to those schools getting are getting interviews. And out of those, the 60% that are getting interviews, 90% of them are getting accepted to medical schools. So definitely our pre-health or science programs are very popular. And as Caroline mentioned earlier, we have a new building. Now, probably 2 years old building, a new science building specifically for those students that aren't going into science or STEM-related fields. We're growing, and we just added, starting this fall, engineering programs. As engineers been in demand, but we never had the opportunity to have those programs available. And now, starting this fall, we're going to have chemical engineering, physics engineering. What is the other one, Caroline? I know it's another one. Electric engineering as well. So that is huge. We're very excited because this is going to attract students now going into engineering fields as well. Another popular program is the business, the BBA MBA. So what that is, the students going into the business program, they can easily add an extra year to their staying at St. Thomas, and they will graduate with both their bachelor's and their master's at the same time. So what makes this program very unique and very interesting, I think we're the only one at school in Houston that offer this program. It's a bridge program. And the benefits of doing that program is they're going to business school is that our scholarship will be applicable to help you pay for your master's degree as well. As you already know, if you graduate with your bachelor's and then you decide to go into your master's, you only qualify for student loans. So we have found a way that we are able to, for our students that do the bachelor's, and while they're in the senior year, they enroll or apply for the master's program as well, and they're able to take classes undergrad and graduate at the same time, and they're able to use their scholarship and student financial aid, which is the federal grant if they're getting, to help them pay for all of the program. And that is huge because you can graduate for bachelor's and a master's with very little loan, hopefully, and you get to use your scholarships and grants. So that would be another very, very popular program, and definitely education. I mean, Houston, right? And it's such a diverse city, and education is definitely one of our high demand as well. And we have a high passing rate too. Last class cohort, I believe it was about 87% of students that passed the state exam. And we do benefit, and thanks, I guess, those high numbers is thanks to the one-on-one personalized attention the students get at St. Thomas because we're a small school and private. Any other program, Caroline, that you think we might be forgetting?
I love when you talk about our MBA or BBA and MBA program, because I personally, I just decided to go back to school for grad school, and I wish that I would, I reflect back and I'm like, wow, I wish I would have really, gone back and, done the BBA MBA, because I find it so fascinating that, our students have that opportunity to carry on their scholarship all the way through their MBA, because as Glendys mentioned, typically when you go to grad school, you don't qualify for any scholarship. It's all loans, and masters are so expensive. And so having that opportunity for our students and being able to figure out financial aid for them and, having them have that opportunity to finish their master's just already makes them stand out. You're graduating probably at, 22, 23 as a traditional student, and you already have a master's degree.
And we're forecasting, as we mentioned, we're growing. We're now adding, starting this fall as well, the another bridge program. This is which is going to be the bachelor's in psychology and the master's in sports performance psychology.
Oh, wow.
So it's really exciting, especially because we do get a lot of students that are like, I want to become a coach, right? They want to go into the athletics and the coaching side. So we're now starting this fall. Students will be able to, those are majoring in psychology. They want to go into the bridge program, like the BBA, MBA. They can actually do now the sports performance psychology as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, it sounds like some pretty intense programming that y'all are developing there, which I think will really appeal to a lot of transfer students and a lot of students who are considering where to go. And I was wondering about transfer applications per year. So do y'all have a certain number of applicants that you accept for transfer each year?
Yes. So per year overall, we are getting about a little under 300 students for fall and spring. Our biggest incoming class is fall. It's about almost 250 for fall, and then spring is relatively is lower number as the number of students that transfer. So it's about anything from 60 to 70. So we're about 300 students per year that we get transfer students. We are 40% of our student population are transfers. So compared to other schools, we actually do have a huge transfer population. So don't think that you're coming to St. Thomas and you're gonna be interacting with freshman students. But no, you would definitely be interacting with students like yourself. Transfers are, most of our transfers are working adults. And so, but yeah, that is the average per year that we normally transfer or bring in an incoming class of about 300. The last 2 years, we have been bringing record numbers for fall. So we're very proud of that. And we're very excited because especially now with the new programs that we're going to have available, we're expecting those numbers to grow even more.
Yeah, but we don't have a set number of exactly a amount of students that we only accept. We encourage every student to go ahead and apply to our university. Like Glendy said, we want our school to grow. So we encourage every student to apply to our university and to let us review. I mean, Glendy and I personally review those applications. So they work very closely with us, and we're always happy to give them an unofficial review, for example, for credits. So we walk them through the entire journey of them from the moment that they apply to the moment that they are accepted. So all Lone Star students out there, definitely apply to our university. We want our school to grow.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Well, thank you. So when you think of a private university, one of those first thoughts that come to your mind are, smaller campus, lower enrollment numbers, which means you kind of participate in a university or an institution. Like in your case, I would imagine you guys are probably less than 3,000 students, full enrollment. So, Ms. Berrios, you mentioned you attended the university and you graduated from UST. How did that make you feel, right? Being a student where there's more of that personalized touch and personalized influence, being that you're a student at a private, smaller size from an enrollment standpoint institution. What advantages, what experiences could you share from that?
Yeah, of course. I love this question, and I love to share it with all my students whenever I meet with them, is that you definitely get that personalized attention with your professor. When I would go to my classes, it was so easy to interact with all these professors. I mean, your classes are no more than 20 people. Bigger classes, which to us is big, is around like 30. So all my class sizes were definitely less than 20 people. And I just really appreciated that because I was definitely able to create a relationship with my peers and with my professor, which was extremely important to me. I'm a person that's very hands-on, very visual. I need to understand everything, and I know that I succeeded more in this small setting. For example, if I ever had any questions after class, your professor is happy to meet with you right after class. I always remember certain friends of mine that would go to larger universities would say, wow, I had to wait in a long line right after class, and sometimes I wouldn't even get to talk to my professor. And so I appreciated that I was able to speak to my professor if I had any questions. Sometimes I would walk with them back to their office. That's how accessible they are. And then, of course, if you ever need office hours, they have those as well. Another thing that I really appreciated was the writing and tutoring center. I was always there, and there was something that I really, also appreciated, because if you needed help with the paper, if you needed help with homework, like any help that you needed, you could just go straight to the tutoring center, and it's, first come, first serve. We have a bunch of great tutors that were happy to help us. And I was able to get that, that resource from that small institution. I didn't have to wait. I didn't have to make, an appointment. Of course, when it's during midterms and, finals, that's when it gets a little more busy. But as long as, you set up a good schedule and, to go in ahead of time, everything's good. But typically during any regular hours, I was always able to get help, whether it was with any class I would go either for, writing an essay for philosophy or, getting help with certain math courses, which has never been my strongest suit. So those are some resources that I really, I didn't realize that, that's not available to every student that goes to university, because when you go to a smaller university, you have more access to all of those rather than going to a larger university. So that's something that really stuck out to me. And I really believe that that's what's helped me succeed and helped me, grow as a student and individual. Because one more resource that I really enjoyed was the career services. When I was, looking for internships, when I was looking for a job, I could go to the career services center and they would help me with all that. They helped me from A to Z. They helped me from creating my resume. They helped me create my LinkedIn. They helped me search for jobs. They helped me apply to that job. Every single thing that you can imagine that's on the step to, getting that internship, they helped me with that. And, you can't find that at a larger university. There's just no way. There's so many students. And so being able to not just be a number, but be an actual student, career services, writing services, they knew me by my name, is something that I really, learned to value from UST.
I got my master's at St. Thomas. So I got my undergrad at public school and my master's at UST. And so I do had that experience between the public and the private. And I tell students, there's no such a thing as bad schools in Texas, in Houston. I mean, we have great institutions. It's just about the experience, right? And I remember picking back on what Caroline said about the resources is that and that's the same approach for grad and undergrad. And St. Thomas is the same, one-on-one attention driven to both populations. And I remember going to the tutoring center, and out of a sudden, my professor knew that I went to the tutoring center, asked for help about their class or his class, and would reach out to me and say, Glendys, do you need any help? And so just so you know, when you go to the tutoring center, your professors will get a report saying who went to ask for help at the tutoring center. And so they know who is doing well, who needs that help. And they, so don't be afraid to reach out, because if not, then they will come to you and say, is everything okay? Do you, and I had an experience where math is not my strongest suit, but I worked really hard for this class. And I remember taking this test, and my professor, it was a statistics test. And he looked at my test and was like, Glendys, there's still something not right in this problem. And so he kind of briefly walked me through. It's like, so now go figure it out. So he did not let me walk out of the test without getting it. And he will guide me enough so for me to kind of connect, right, what was missing and what, give me that guidance. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I remember this. And so I appreciate that. And I think that's a really, valuable experience that normally at a bigger school, unfortunately, you don't get it, because it's like Caroline mentioned, it's just so many students, and it's hard for professors to give that one-on-one attention to their students. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think listening to each of you talk about your own personal experience is very valuable for students to hear about. You're not just coming as employees of St. Thomas, you're coming as representatives of the student experience as well. So I think that in and of itself is very important for students to understand. And y'all have talked a lot about the resources in your last statements. You kind of gave a little bit about the resources. And I know that one thing that students deal with when they transfer is transfer shock. On a national scale, we see that students that first semester, there's an adjustment period. And can y'all talk a little bit further about how transfer students are able to adjust to the rigor of coursework at a university level, the student life and all of that will help them become more acclimated to the campus life and the overall spirit of the university?
Yes. So I personally, like Carmen mentioned, we're very involved with our transfer students, and when we see them on campus, walk around, that is the first question I ask my transfer students. What has been the most shocking, experience transferring to St. Thomas? And so far, I would definitely say the number one thing that I hear from our transfer students is the writing intense aspects of the university. We are a writing intense university. And critical thinking, it's important at St. Thomas. So everyone is required to take philosophy and theology. And so those two requires a lot of reading and writing and critical thinking. Another thing too that the shocking has been as far as the academics is the getting them out of the comfort zone. So most professors there really, they're very strong about applying knowledge. So there's very little multiple choice professors that would use that method of grading. So they will know, right, if you're doing your assignments and if you're understanding them as well. Because when it comes to testing, they literally give you a piece of paper and say, okay, this is the question, now explain to me. So that has been a little bit adjustment. And then I would definitely, as far as adjusting to the school, we are starting, as a matter of fact, we started this last year, this mentorship program. So it's pretty much a group of transfer students themselves that are now becoming peer mentors for our incoming transfers. So that way, they come in and they partner them with a transfer student, a couple, either 2 or 3, it depends how many students sign up for this program. And that way, the first semester, you have a peer that already went through the process, they know what's expected, and they help them adjust to the new, the new normal now at St. Thomas for them. That would be one thing. Another thing that's, Caroline, that you can mention that I might be forgetting?
Yeah, of course. So I think it also has to do with our students, of course, you're coming into a new environment, depending on where you are from, which Lone Star location you're coming from, it might just be like the one that's close to Conroe and you're coming all the way to the city. So that's already an adjustment, but we encourage our students to, join different clubs, organizations that we have. I think that's been super helpful because you find people that, have similar interests as you, that have certain beliefs or same beliefs as you. So that already helps you, find people that are similar to you. Our school is so diverse though, that I feel like you find people of like so many different backgrounds, which is something that I really, I love about UST, but I didn't know about it until I first came as a student. And there's, like I mentioned, there's so many different cultures, so many different, people of all backgrounds that you learn, even if you do become people, friends with people that are like you, you're still bound to meet people that are completely different than you, and you learn to appreciate that. So I think this transfer organization that Glendys was talking about hopefully will be very successful for our students, because if they have any questions, if they have any worries, or they're just concerned about anything and they want, guidance from someone else, I know that'll be super helpful, and it'll just help them be better off at UST, because, who's better than a student that's already gone through it all?
Yeah, and we also want to add that our transfer retention rate it's pretty good. Last year that we, in the year numbers that came out, we had been maintaining at least under 80%, 80 or 87% retention rate for transfers. So that's huge. And so that means that students that transfer to St. Thomas, they stay. And I think that definitely has to do with the fact that, small class setting, the 101, coming from a community college is almost the same environment, I think, right? It's not a huge classroom setting. So they still get the personalized attention as well from professors. So keeping that same environment, I think, has helped us a lot as well. And then obviously the resources that we have available to them. But there is a community feeling like at St. Thomas. And literally, you won't feel like you're just, like Caroline said, a number. So you can walk to any department and they will help you in anything that you need help on.
Yeah, so that actually reminded me of something specifically. So I have a close friend of mine that transferred to UST, and she's relatively shy. And so for her coming into University of St. Thomas, she was really nervous. She wasn't, she didn't feel comfortable making friends. But because our university is so like inclusive and because you're never just a number, she felt comfortable enough to, be in her classes and talk to, if it was either like someone that she was sitting next to in her class or when she would go get lunch, because our university is like, it's not huge. So you don't feel like you're in a crowd. You feel like, you're in a family. So she was luckily, able to, make friends and feel comfortable. And coming from that community college, size, it wasn't super difficult for her to adjust.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think my last question on my end is centered around cost, right? A lot of times students will tend to, to say, private schools are just so expensive. I can't afford to go to a private school. Are there any scholarships and specifically transfer scholarships or resources that students can connect with at University of St. Thomas, Houston?
Absolutely. And if anything, that is the main concern, I would say, from transfer students about UST. And I don't blame them. I mean, I was a transfer student myself, and I didn't even consider St. Thomas because of that reason. And I did not give it an opportunity. And I was like, nope, UST is out of my league. There's no way I can afford St. Thomas. So I just went to a public school. But now that I work here and I was specifically assigned to work with transfer students, and then after learning all this great financial offer or availability that St. Thomas offers, I'm like, this is really important for us to share with transfer students, because I had personally seen students paying almost the same that you would pay at a public school, and sometimes even less, and even sometimes full ride. I've seen, not everyone, right? But there is the chance. So tuition, yes, right? Students will see the sticker price, but they don't pay that sticker price per se. They get a scholarship automatically. So when you apply to the UST, your admissions application and your transcripts will both serve for your for review for admissions and also for scholarship eligibility. So when you get the admissions decision, you will also get the scholarship eligibility, and they range from $6,000 up to $18,000 a year. So just to briefly break it out, that way you can have in mind, okay, if I have this GPA by the end of my time at Lone Star, then an idea what scholarship you're going to be looking for. So that way you can work harder right now and you get the highest scholarship. So a 2.6 GPA is $6,000, which is the minimum to get accepted. A 3.0 GPA scholarship, it will be $10,000. And a 3.5 is $13,000. Now, if you are a Phi Theta Kappa member, please, if you get that invitation from them, please get that, pay the fee. It's $80, I think, but it's worth the investment, because as a return, you are going to get $5,000 more a year. So that will make it up to $18,000 a year that you get just based on your academics performance. So work hard, get your GPA high, and that scholarship will remain the same until you finish your degree at St. Thomas, regardless if your GPA goes below when you first were admitted or it goes higher, remain the same. Another thing, too, that I like to share with students is that when you apply for financial aid, we also have internal grants. So as I mentioned, right, we're a nonprofit institution. So we, part of the money and part of the donations that we get and all that is to make education affordable to our students. So when students apply for financial aid, we're going to make sure and see if you qualify for the university grant. So you're not only getting the scholarship money, but also hopefully you meet the requirements for the internal university grant. And also there's a state equalization grant, which is available only at private schools. So you will know, I'm hopeful that when you apply, you would also get the scholarship. The federal grant, hopefully you get some money from there, the university grant, and hopefully the state's Texas grant as well. So there's a lot of help. And even more that every year, once a year, financial aid sends an email to all current students to apply for a common application scholarship, meaning that they have additional money or donors. Sometimes we have donors that say specifically, I want this money to go to scholarship fund. And so they make scholarship money available and they send applications and everyone just needs to apply and get that additional help. So I had personally, like I said, seen students every semester paying almost $4,000, $5,000 a year. A semester. I've seen almost even $2,000, $1,000. So everyone is different. And keep in mind that we have a flat tuition rate. So if your tuition is $3,000 per semester, that means that your tuition will remain the same regardless if you take 12 credit hours up to 18 credit hours. So you don't have to worry about, if you start with 4 classes, oh my God, I want to add more classes because I want to graduate faster. You can add up to 18 credits and your tuition will remain the same. So that is huge for our students. So my advice to you is if finance is a concern, please apply. There's not a fee for application. If you apply through our website, do your financial aid. As soon as you get admitted, financial aid will be able to review your financial aid information. They will send you the financial aid award letter. And when you get that award letter or that information, contact me or Caroline, and we'll literally sit down with you guys and go over the numbers and literally go over, okay, this is the tuition minus your scholarships, minus your grants. This is your bottom line cost. And then you can make a decision from there. Since you're not paying for application, you're not doing anything really, just going through the process. And that's how a lot of students are doing nowadays because they want to know which school, right, offers them the best option. And I think that's really smart. Apply, let us do the process, and then you decide after if we are really a good fit for you financially.
Yeah, we've had students that have been surprised that have just decided to just apply because we told them, hey, it's free. You have nothing to lose. And when they apply and they figure out that their financial aid package is so much better, they're like, wow, so I'm about to pay the same that I would at a public school, if not less. So as Gandhi said, we encourage all our students to not be scared, just go for it, just to, apply and let us tell you exactly how much you would owe. And then of course, if, that's the right fit, we're happy to have you at UST. And if it's not, we'll still be happy for you. We want our students to find the best fit. We never want to encourage them to come somewhere where they won't feel comfortable. So ultimately, we want the best for our students.
Thank you both.
All right. Are we almost out of time here, Juan?
Yeah, we just got a couple more. I think we have time for one more question, Matthew.
All right, one more question. Just want to make sure. All right, so let's talk about the campus size and the demographics, if we could. I know we talked about it's 3,000-ish students. Is that right?
Yes.
And demographics, y'all said you have fairly high diversity.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
So how would a student a transfer student, how would they best fit in? What's a way for them to dive in maybe prior to application, prior to transfer? What would be some suggestions you would have in getting them to a better understanding of whether or not UST is a good fit?
Yes, that's a great question. So we have events throughout the year. Right now everything has been virtual, but traditional, hopefully we're going back to normal soon. We encourage students to come and attend to many different events that we have going on. So we have even Saturdays events now, showcase Saturdays where students have the opportunity to come in and learn about UST in general, all the scholarships and the process of applying and getting admitted, but also they get an opportunity to sit down in a classroom and they will have a professor come in and talk and kind of to get a feel like what is it like to be a student at St. Thomas for a day or at least like a half an hour. So that would be one way. So look into our website and visit campus visits, events, and see what's available. Right now, everything's been virtual. So we've been having info sessions virtually, but we're now open to on-campus tours in person. So by appointments only. So just call the main office and set up an appointment to tour the campus. That would be a great way to interact Also, what would be another way to kind of see, I think you have to visit the campus. And I think that's the key to deciding what the best school that you think, you see yourself looking into. I always tell students, please do yourself when they come to see me, like, I visit at least 3 campuses. Give yourself 3 top schools that you're planning to apply. Go visit them. Go tour them. Go speak with an advisor. Go answer all these questions. And I can guarantee you that the moment that you walk around that campus, you will know that is your campus. That is your next home school. So come visit, attend to those events that are going on. We normally have events by different departments. So sometimes the business schools, so those that are interested in business, they will have their own events going on. Like we have events for STEM-related majors where literally professors have hands-on type of experiment workshops, and students that are coming into the STEM majors can actually do some hands-on experience, and that has been a huge success. That's something that I'm very proud that I started a couple of years ago, and it's been a great success for transfer students. And so kind of that gives them a good, feeling is that it's St. Thomas, my next home, pretty much. So campus visits, look into what's available on our campus, on our website. Hopefully we're coming back to normal soon in the fall. But yeah, anything else you want to add on to that, Caroline?
Well, I think our tours are really special because you also get to, get a tour by our presidential ambassadors, which are current students at UST. And so you get to, talk to them, get their point of view, learning about specifically if they're in the major that you're interested in. I think that's also important. We're also happy to connect students with some of our presidential ambassadors who may be in the same major. So I know I've connected in the past a student that was interested in pre-med. And so we found a student that's currently at UST. I think it was like a junior year. And he was able to connect with the student and, answer all those questions, specifics, what his journey has been like, what has been exciting, just to give some encouragement or give some advice to students that have not yet applied or that are still kind of, shopping around and trying to see what will be the right fit for them. I think that's very valuable for students because they get to actually interact with the current student, and it makes them, understand more about specifics about the university or about the major they're interested in.
Another thing that I want to add on, now that we're adding the Conroe Center, is that right now it's mainly offering the online programs and that we have available. But our goal is that we're planning to have the entire course online, completely online, so students can take those and go to the Conroe location and use those resources available to them. And also do on-site recruiting, admissions on the spot as well at that center. So it is, in a way, we want students that on that side of the town that St. Thomas is a school of choice for them. They can still attend, and if they're not able to come in to the city, they can still have some access, right, to the university resources available through the center. So right now, it's specifically, I think they're offering the nursing program, but eventually we would love to offer some additional specific targeted programs there too, where students, professors will go and teach those programs there. And but yeah, the future is great at St. Thomas, and we're very excited what's ahead of us.
Well, on behalf of Lone Star College-Montgomery, we would like to thank you both for taking the time out of your busy schedules to share with our students and community members. As part of the Track Center Unplugged series, we're here to help you get connected with university representatives, with transfer resources. So stay tuned for our next upcoming Track Center Unplugged series. Again, Ms. Alvarez, Ms. Berrios, thank you so much for connecting with us today. And if a student wants to learn more about University of St. Thomas, Houston, is there a website that you recommend for them to connect with?
Yes, they can go to www.stthom.edu/transfer. They will learn a lot about the transfer information, and they should be able to see our contact information as well. But you're welcome to reach out to Dr. LeBron. He has our contact info, and if you have any questions, he can definitely direct those questions directly to us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.